Okay, let's get started. Um, let's start in child's pose. So, knees wide spread, arms extended forward. Melt that chest down to the mat and start to take big inhales and exhales. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Maybe placing that forehead down to the mat. Take a few more breaths here. Eventually tucking the toes, send the hips to the sky for your first downward dog. You might pedal at the feet here just a little bit, being really gentle with your body. Maybe re-extending the hips to find length, creating a long, flat back when you're ready. Eventually shifting forward to a high plank position. Take that belly button up and in. Maybe take a few rocks forward and backward on the toes if that feels nice. You might even take one hand and tap it to your shoulder, and then swap sides, tapping the opposite hand to the shoulder. Try to keep the hips as square as possible. Just building some heat. Maybe take a few more of those. Eventually re-extending to a downward dog. Finding that length. Sending the tailbone up to the sky. And then shifting forward, hesitate or hovering those knees 1 inch above the ground. Doming through the upper back and drawing that belly button into this bear pose. So hovering those knees 1 inch above the ground. And then re-extend it. Take a few breaths here. Eventually shift forward back to that high plank position. And then take your first vinyasa, exhaling down, chaturanga. Keep those elbows tucked in towards the body. Inhale to an up dog. Take those shoulders up and back. And then exhale back down to downward dog. On your next inhale, reach that right leg up to the sky. Maybe twist the ankle a little bit. Maybe you make some big circles with that knee. Just loosening up the hip. Eventually planting it back down. Shift forward. Take a vinyasa down. Chaturanga. Exhale. Inhaling to up dog. Take it back to child's pose just for a moment. Melting that chest down to the mat. Take a couple breaths, just resting the arms. Eventually tucking the toes, extending back to that downward dog when you're ready. On your next inhale, reach that left leg to the sky now, maybe making some circles with that ankle, maybe some bigger circles with that knee. That feels good. Eventually planting it down. Shift forward, high plank. Exhale down, chaturanga. Inhaling to up dog. Take those shoulders up and back. Exhaling to downward dog. Plant those knees on the mat, extending the arms out to a puppy pose. So arms parallel in front of you, keeping the hips tall, melting the chest down. Your gaze might be forward, your forehead might be on the ground, whatever feels good. Just giving a nice little shoulder stretch here. In puppy pose. Eventually shifting forward to Sphinx position. Coming to those forearms. Take those shoulders up and back. Drawing that belly button up and in. Maybe drop the chin. Just releasing the neck. You might take some head rolls. Eventually coming all the way to our stomach. Plant those hands on the ground, stacking the hands, and then place the forehead down. You're gonna bring that right knee up to your armpit, flexing at the toes to this half frog position. So bringing that right knee up to the elbow / armpit, flexing through those right toes, and just relaxing through this hip here. Letting it hang heavy. Think about sending all your breath there, all your relaxation. You might take your head to one side or the other if that feels nice. Eventually, you might fully extend through this right leg, straightening out if that feels good. Still letting that hip hang heavy. Sending that oxygen throughout the body as you inhale and exhale. You might prop yourself up on your forearms here in this half frog. Maybe dropping the chin once again if that feels good. Eventually coming back down. Take that foot back into the body. Maybe shift the hips side to side, releasing that lower back. Eventually drawing that left leg now up to the armpit / elbow, flexing those left toes. Letting the left hip hang heavy to the ground. You might stack the hands once again, placing the forehead, or you might gaze to one side or the other, whatever feels good. Keeping your breath steady, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Maybe fully extending to that left leg if that feels good. Maybe eventually propping yourself up on those forearms. Doing a slightly different stretch, you might drop that chin, loosening up the neck. Continually focusing on our breath. Eventually drawing that leg back down. Take your cheek to the mat, arms by the sides. You might rock your hips side to side again if that feels good. Eventually bringing those big toes together. You're going to lift the chest and arms and toes all at the same time on your inhale. Inhaling them up above the ground. Drawing those shoulder blades together. Maybe finding some length here through the top of the head, out through the toes in this Shalabhasana pose. Inhale, lifting a little further. Exhaling down, plant those hands. Take it back to a child's pose. Knees widespread, arms forward. Think about sending those hips to your heels, releasing that lower back. Take a couple breaths. Eventually tuck those toes, send them back to downward dog again. And inhale, lift that right leg up to the sky. We're gonna bend at the knee, opening up, stretching through that front hip. So stacking the hips on one another. Option to flip all the way to Wild Thing. Planting that right foot. Lifting the hips up for a brief moment. And then replanting the hand, extending back up to that right foot. Place it down right by the left knee. Pedal out the feet for a few moments. On your next inhale, bring that left leg to the sky. Once again, bending at the hip or the knee. Stacking the hips. Nice little stretch here. Option to plant that left foot. Extending into Wild Thing here, lifting the hips. And then maybe replanting the hand. Extend that foot up. And then place it back down. Pedaling out the feet here. Walk those hands back to your feet and open the feet wide, dropping the hips in a Malasana squat here. Bringing your hands to heart center. You close the eyes and take a couple breaths. You might take those shoulders up and back once again. Really lifting tall. Applying pressure to the inside of your knees, pushing them outward. You might plant that right hand down, extending through the left hand up to the sky, gazing up. Think about finding length here. And then maybe planting it down, extend to those right hand now, planting the left. Gazing up at the thumbs. Find some length here. And then come back to center. Take those shoulders up and back. Close the eyes, take a couple more breaths. Plant the hands, extend through the legs, coming to a forward fold position here. You might have a little bend in the knee if that feels good. Maybe rocking side to side, if that feels good as well. Feet hip distance apart. Take a few moments here. Plant the hands. Inhale, gaze out long, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands on your hips. Inhale, come up, flat back. We're gonna try a couple or a balance pose here. So coming to tree pose, bringing that, we're grounding through that left foot, bring that right foot up, either placing it at the calf, or up above the knee. You might grab a wall if that feels good. And then bringing your hands to heart center, closing the eyes. Ooh. You might even gaze in front of you, finding a spot that's still and focusing on it. Eventually extending out your arms if you'd like. And releasing the leg down. Maybe pedal out both the feet, releasing the ankles. And then grounding through that right foot now. Take that left foot up. Maybe mirroring the opposite side you just did. Bringing your hands to heart center. Maybe eventually taking the arms up and out. Eventually bring that leg back down. Maybe roll the ankles out once again. Eventually inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, gaze out long, flat back. Exhale, forward fold once again. Maybe having that slight bend in the knee. Maybe walking the hands out to this downward dog position, re-extending through the legs. On your next inhale, bring that right leg up to the sky, coming to a pigeon pose. So bringing that right knee forward, drop that leg, keeping it parallel towards the top of the mat. I'll adjust my camera. Inhale, lifting tall. Exhale, forward fold. Keep that weight evenly distributed between right hip and left hip. Finding your center. Maybe starting to let your exhales be twice as long as your inhales. Relaxing into this hip, releasing that tension. Let yourself fall a little bit deeper into the stretch. Eventually planting the hands. Take that foot back. Inhaling the left leg up to the sky. Bring it forward to pigeon on this side. Taking that left shin, making it parallel with the top of the mat if you can. Inhaling, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Once again, letting our exhales be twice as long as our inhales. Releasing tension in that left hip joint. Letting yourself sink a little deeper in this stretch. Make your way back up, eventually coming to a position on your back. Bring your knees into your chest. Maybe extending fully out to happy baby if that feels good. Rocking side to side, massaging out that lower back. Maybe bringing the soles of the feet together. Feel free to do anything else you need to prepare for your final pose. Or if you're ready, extend through your legs. Taking your palms up to the sky, tuck those shoulder blades. Begin to relax, maybe feeling weightless, like you're floating on water. Letting yourself relax fully into this position. Start to bring awareness back. Taking bigger inhales and exhales. Maybe wiggling the fingers and toes. You might extend the arms overhead, taking a big inhale, stretching and lengthening through the body. Eventually rolling to your favorite side. Making your way up to a seated position. Bringing your hands to heart center. Maybe close your eyes and take a few breaths, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling out the mouth. Once again, inhaling and exhaling. One more big inhale, filling your lungs. And exhaling fully. Take a moment to thank your body, having gratitude for it, and gratitude for this beautiful Monday morning. Awesome job today, guys. Namaste.